Good evening, everyone. My name is Hinisha Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. And we believe that we are the solution to the issues in our community. Our theme is Nothing With Us, Without Us. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is sponsored by Fathers Who Care, which is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. Again, everyone, my name is Hinisha Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is comprised of young people from our community whose focus and concern is youth leadership and a voice within our community to reduce senseless violence and illegal substance use. We invite people from all over, especially young people, to come in and see what we are all about. Our shows will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that website is www.cantv.org/live. Well, everyone, I would love to introduce my guest for today. This is Carlos, and he works with he does the 7 challenges.
Yep, with West Carroll, Illinois. Yeah.
Yep, West Carroll, Illinois. Would you like to introduce yourself a little?
Sure, Carlos Rodriguez. I'm a program director at West Carroll, Illinois, and absolutely love working with Hinisha and the Garfield Park Youth Council, as well as Fathers Who Care. Yep. And
Okay, sorry, everyone.
yeah, and I'm a little bit old too. Not really youth.
Not too old, you know. Who's really old, you know? We all
Thank you.
still live.
Thank you.
Exactly. So thank you for being a guest on tonight's show. Again, everyone, my name is Hinisha Malone, and I'm the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You are watching a live interactive call-in television program brought to you by CanTV 21. During the next 25 minutes, we are going to discuss our creating opportunities over violence. So now I have a few questions for you. So who are you and what is your purpose for existing?
Yeah, so yes, it's interesting. This question, when it comes up, I always have to think and reflect because I've been around the sun almost 63 times.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's coming up in
Okay,
June.
okay.
Yeah, like something else, by the way. So let me say this before I talk about me. Is I want to show you gratitude because you always make this interview comfortable for me.
Yeah.
You ask good questions, and also you do such a wonderful job with the Youth Council.
Thank
And
you.
of course, I'm going to tell you guys another thing about her. She's graduating this year.
Yeah, guys, I'm graduating high school this year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited, though. I thought I was going to be, like, scared and, like, crying every day, but it's not that bad.
Yeah,
Life's
no.
great.
No, it's good. It's going
Yeah,
to
it's
get better
good.
and things, and you're doing such a good job. I know your grandparents and parents are proud of you, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. So
Thank you.
yeah, so my purpose in life is I want to make like a maximum contribution to our communities.
Right.
There's so much injustice out there, and a lot of young people are misunderstood, and I feel like it's my duty as an elder to actually change people's minds about
Yeah.
their understanding of young people. And of course, as you know, I love working with young people. So
Exactly.
so I got this nice job right now where it's a blend where I could go and advocate for young
Yeah.
people as well as work with young people.
Exactly.
And I tell dumb dad jokes. She knows that.
Okay, you want to give us a dad joke today?
Oh my gosh, no. my son's watching. He'll be like,
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna
okay.
kill you. I'll tell
Okay.
you. I'll tell you off studio.
Okay. So what type of opportunities do you have for young people to be involved in?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good question. First of all, I really appreciate your grandpa and making opportunities at Fathers Who Care.
Yeah.
He has an internship program. He does these wonderful pro-social activities, including the youth council that meets every Thursday at 4:00. We started partnering with Fathers Who Care. It's almost going to be 4 years now. Can
Really?
you believe that? Yeah.
Dang.
And
Oh,
so-
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
funny. I remember when I first met your grandpa, he was like, I'm not sure about this guy. And I was like, I said, I think we're going to be all right because I saw
Yeah.
what he was doing in the community. I want to be a part of it. Yeah. So we do job referrals too through the program.
Okay. Can I get a pen, please?
Yeah, sure. So
Thank
we mentioned a while ago that we do this 7 challenges group.
Yeah.
So we have these opportunities for young people to be themselves.
Exactly.
And talk about what they want to talk about, right? And then I think the other thing too is that a lot of people, and this will come up a lot tonight, we gotta figure out how to make sure that the young people are the lead on these things, as
Yeah.
opposed to we're gonna do this for you, we're gonna do that for you. Let's listen. So let's listen a lot. And so, my thing is, how can we invite people to volunteer with us, and then they can lead us to what they want to do. So
Exactly.
those are just a few opportunities, right?
Okay.
There's so much to do, of course, but we'll talk more about that later.
So what are the 7 challenges?
Yeah, the 7 Challenges is a great program. It's a holistic program that actually looks at a young person's maybe relationship with drugs and alcohol, but also just their relationship with themselves. In a small nutshell, we say the 7 Challenges is about making healthier and wiser decisions about your life,
Yeah.
as well as your relationship to drugs and alcohol.
Right.
Now, interesting enough, a lot of adults mishear what I'm saying. They think, "Oh, are you saying it's okay to use drugs and alcohol?"
Right.
And I respond back is that just like anything in life, young people are curious. And so we want to give them an opportunity to be open and honest so that we're not judging them. And
Yep.
then they can explore all of these things. So it's funny because some kids that come to our group, they'll be telling me, "Oh man, Mr. Carlos, I thought you were going to be a guy that was going to tell me that this is bad or you should do this,
Yeah.
that, other. But you allowed me to just be myself."
Exactly.
And then we really believe that young people have the intelligence to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think they're just looking for authentic adults to
Exactly.
help guide them, but also have those discussions. So that's really what the 7 Challenges is about. It's a
Yeah.
simple thing. It's not about a secret agenda to get people to do this or do that.
Right.
It's really setting up a safe space for them to be themselves.
Yeah, and I feel like with youth now, sometimes they feel judged because sometimes when they feel like sometimes drugs is like a outlet to some youth, and even though it's
Sure.
not the most positive, it's actually something like that they can obtain because it's like some stuff is just so obtainable to them, so they'll use it. So when you tell them like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," it makes them feel bad about themselves, like dang, like maybe I shouldn't have did that. Make them feel bad about like their decision making.
Yeah.
They probably start breaking down and like not really breaking down like physically to where you could see it, but like they might start actually breaking down mentally and like feeling like, oh, like maybe I'm a bad person. Why am I doing this? I shouldn't do it. Instead of like actually having somebody to be like, okay, I see where you're coming from and I see why you started doing it. Let's try to start slowly helping you see some more positive ways for you to actually
Yeah.
cope with what you're going through
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
The worst thing that was a perfect way to put stuff. The worst thing an adult can do is criticize and judge, because then what happens is that the young people hide things, right?
Right.
So the basis for the 7 Challenges group is really being honest, right? Being honest about your life and maybe about your use of drugs and alcohol. Don't worry, I have other pens. That was awesome.
Sorry, I got fit.
But
I just started fidgeting with it.
Hey, I'm a fidgeter, too, so
Okay.
don't worry about it. Yeah. So the last thing I was going to say about that is that I want to challenge the parents out there to ask curious questions to your young people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really important that if your young person trusts you, then you'll have more influence over the direction they're going. So you want to keep them
Right.
closer, right?
Yeah.
Anytime somebody judges or criticizes or says, "I know what's right, you don't know what's right," it pushes them away.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
Then the streets are going to teach them.
Yep, and then they go out and they try to find other people who can actually try to bring them up, because as much as like you try to make it seem like they know what they're doing, they know what's going on, like we really don't know what's going on. We don't really know what's out there. Only the people who've been here longer than us actually know, like, okay, I seen people take this route and I seen where it got them, but it's like if we keep making them feel like, oh, you're bad, then they just gonna start like resenting you and like pulling themselves away from you, and then finding somebody else to actually try to bring them up, because they need somebody to teach them, because we don't know where to go sometimes. So like they gonna find that person. So like why not be that person for them?
Exactly. Yeah. Good. Such good points. Yeah.
So what age range do you all deal with, and why do you deal with that like certain age range?
Yeah, our target group is ages 16 to 21, and
Okay.
and it's purposeful because these young people are becoming adults. Actually, they're already young adults, right? We know that's kind of a bridge period, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like between high school and then what,
Right.
right?
Like
And
what do I do after that?
Yeah, and whether they want to admit it or not, it's a pretty frightening time.
It is.
Right, and you can get really nervous and things, and so we want to be present for that. I was thinking about this whole thing again too about like when, like you're in the middle of it right now, those ages,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
You've had a lot of support around you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that you have a lot more confidence than a
Yeah.
lot of young people that may not have that support. But that doesn't mean you're exempt from it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, what's going to happen next? What kind of a career I'm going to have?
Right.
There's
That's
all
still-
these
it's still
questions
that.
swirling around.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? I remember finally I ran into somebody when I was like 20. I was like, I don't know what to do. And this man was wonderful. He says, that's great. You're honest. And I was like, huh? I thought,
Right.
I'm supposed to have it together right now. My dad wants me to be in college, blah, 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 right? But he just made it comfortable for me to go, it's okay to be confused.
Yeah.
That's a normal thing to do. So that's why we're there with the 16 to 21-year-olds too.
Yeah,
The last thing I'll say about that, and of course you and I like science, so this moment in a young person's life from around 13 to 25, that's the last time the brain goes through a real development, right? So you have one foot still dependent on your family, and then you got another foot going towards
Leaning on its own,
independence,
yep.
right? Yeah, and so this is an important period where we can actually get in there and help this young person recognize that actually getting help, and instead of being independent, actually
Right.
the world really works better if we're interdependent. In other words,
Exactly.
we help each other out, right? So it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not know things, right? And so we're gonna normalize those things.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes when we see these students who is like so say me for example, like you know what you want to do, I feel like they put that onto other students, so then other students start feeling like, dang, like maybe I should be like her or maybe I should be like him, and stuff like that. So I feel like it doesn't really make them confident in who they are, or it doesn't really push them to try to find their true passion. It just pushes them to try to find something fast so that they can be like, okay, I think I got this figured out. I look like I like doing this, so I'm going to present it to everybody else, tell them that that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it actually like help. I don't think it really helps the youth. I just feel like it pressures them to try to be something for someone else instead of trying to be who they really are for themselves.
Yeah. And it's a time of searching for what you are.
Exactly.
I don't know about you, but I tried different ways of being, right? You know, I had friends that were getting high. I had friends that were in sports. I had friends that were in student council, working on the school newspaper. And I felt like as I was growing up that it was okay to be in each one of those. Fortunately, my dad, who actually just encouraged me to get involved in those things. He wouldn't say much. And of course, my grandfather was always there on the sidelines, letting me know that, you really will take on the characteristics of people you hang out with, right? In Spanish, remember I told you one time in Spanish, we say, dime con quien andas y te diré quién eres. That means, tell me who you hang with and I'll tell you who you are. And that's really borne out to be true as I've gotten older, right? Is that, when you hang out with people that are positive, that are building you up, you're going to be positive and you're going to give that back, right?
Exactly. That's so true. I noticed that in like certain people, and I noticed that in myself. Like when I'm around certain friends, like I'm a certain way based off like how they are, and I feel like I built my character based on like the friends that I've had. Like one of my friends, Naya, like I feel like she's a very like outspoken person. We both speak our mind. We tell the truth. We don't really feed into like delusions. We tell each other what's real and what's not, what we should and shouldn't do. And I feel like that's what built me to like actually like make these morals stronger, because like, okay, I have a friend that's with me who like agree with me, because sometimes as youth, if we want to be a certain way, we want to go against the narrative. It's like they be like, oh, you lame or you boring, but it's like she wasn't like that. So it actually made me feel confident in being who I was, because she actually encouraged that, and she was like that also. So I feel like when you're around people that's like that, that's supporting like your upbringing or like supporting the growth that you have going on, then you gonna actually want to keep growing and keep getting better and stuff like that. That's like an example that I have.
That's such a good point. And hi, Naya, if you're out there, because Naya
hey,
is fantastic too.
So in what ways have youth improved, and what helped them do the improvement?
That's a good one, because sometimes youth don't see it.
Yeah.
And so I have to point it out to
That's
them,
so
right?
True. Yeah.
I mean, part of it is, we'll teach skills in the group about, just weighing things out, right? So coming to group and going, okay, so there's certain things that I can't control, but there's certain things that I can control.
Right.
And I'm going to try this. So just teaching them things like evaluating things, right? We did this thing in group last week called emotional math. A friend of mine taught me. It was called, you can write down A plus B equals C, okay?
Right.
So A equals an activating event, an event that you can't control. So you can't control the rain tonight.
Exactly.
You can't control your friend's emotions and things, right?
Right.
The B stands for what are your beliefs about the activating event? So we try to challenge young people to think more than, like, say your friend comes to you and is like really angry at you and you're like, whoa, they're acting like such a B, right? We try to get them to expand their perceptions, their beliefs about it.
Right.
For example, maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe
Right.
something bad happened at home, right? Maybe she didn't get enough sleep. Maybe she hasn't eaten enough. So when you start expanding your beliefs, then the C, the emotional consequence, can be different, right? So if I'm mad at you, right, after you got mad at me, my emotional are going to be, I'm going to be revved up, and I might not be able to make the right decision.
Right.
But if I expand my beliefs and say, oh, that's really not the way Hinisha is.
Right.
I wonder if she got enough sleep. I wonder if she's okay.
That is
Then I'm
so
going to stay
good,
calm.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I thought about this, like, this was a while ago, and I was thinking like how certain stuff happened to us, and I feel like we take it the wrong way when honestly it really shouldn't be taken like that. Even though it's being presented that way, it's something that's behind that's causing that to happen. So if somebody comes and you say something to them, and then they respond to you like just like raging at you,
Yeah.
and it's like you just thinking like, oh, they yelling at me, so let me yell back. But it's like that person probably had a bad day. They probably got yelled at that morning, so they started off their day really bad. They probably didn't get a nutritious meal that morning because breakfast is such an important meal, and a lot of students don't get it, and we just go get chips or get a donut from the local stores that be around us.
Chips and a sugary
Chips,
juice.
exactly,
Right?
just to get us through the morning. So it's like they be feeding off of that stuff 7 in the morning, and it's like that's not the stuff we should be eating. We should be eating more nutritional stuff. So it's like they could be going through that. They could be having like a heartbreak going on, their own social issues that they have going on.
Right.
And it's like all we see is they yelling at us, but it's like it's something that's causing it, and for you to try to feed into that, it's only gonna make them worse because it's gonna give them something else to deal with. They dealing with that. Then it's I was just arguing with this girl, and now it's like you arguing with somebody, you have an issue with someone when they didn't even really want that. It's just that they just wasn't having the best day, and I feel like we should be emotionally intelligent enough to be able to say, okay, this person is usually calm, collected. But now they having a bad day, they're yelling at me. Maybe I shouldn't charge them. Maybe I should just step away and, let them have their space because that's what they need. They probably didn't really want nobody talking to them. Somebody talked to them. It triggered them, something like that. So I feel like we really we not really too emotionally intelligent. And it's really not our fault. It's just like the way that we're brought up and the stuff that we're brought up around.
Yeah,
so it's not the norm.
Do we get taught that stuff in school?
We don't get taught emotional intelligence.
And it doesn't make any
at
sense,
all.
right? I mean, I know there's a big movement now for social emotional learning. They call it SEL.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it instead of it being integrated into the whole school day, it's kind of like put off to the side, right?
Yeah.
What's sad about it is that, remember I said earlier, is that young people already have a natural intelligence.
Yeah.
They know what's going on, right? We just have to give them more information so that they can have a broader perspective, right? That's why I love groups so much because like this one girl came and she was really angry at her mom, right? Every time I come home, the first thing she says is, how come you haven't cleaned that? How can we clean that? So we said, okay, let's stop, right? Remember we did our emotion math, right? We said, what do you think maybe is driving your mom? Well, she don't like me. I can never do anything right. Okay, so that's one thing, so I wrote that down. So let's think of another thing. Do you think it's scary for her to be a single mom? And so when she comes home, she would like some kind of order, and sometimes when it's not her. She said, well, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah. I said, what about her job? And she told me what a stressful job her mom had.
Right.
And so I said, let's give her some grace. Okay, let's assume that she loves you, and that actually it really isn't about a clean house. It's something else.
Exactly.
And so that's the idea behind getting together and actually what you said is very, very, very good is how do we teach people to have emotional intelligence, right?
Right.
To give them that perspective, right? So that they can have more tools in their tool bag, right? To understand a thing, right?
Yeah, I understand that because I feel like us as youth, we probably only like look at our life, but we don't think like our moms have lives too, or like our parents have lives and stuff like that. And it's like they work a job, they have a social life, they have kids that they have to take care of, and they have to take care of themselves. And then they have friends that they have to tend to try to go and have fun, but then they have to have fun and work and take care of their kids, make sure their kids good, bad stuff for their kids.
Yes.
So it's like,
you get it.
Mom, I love you so much. So it's like our moms have to do a lot for us, and it's like they have to take care of humans, and be their own human, and work to make livings for themselves and their kids. So it's like we don't really give our parents enough grace or enough like thanks and stuff like that, because like I'm finna cry. Let me stop. Okay.
I'm glad
Yeah, because I just love my mom. Like, she really just the best. Okay.
Stay with it. It's okay,
So-
Hinisha.
So do you think?
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
I'm glad you're experiencing that, because what you're doing right now is you're experiencing an emotion that makes you human,
Yeah.
right? And you know how every day a mom takes care of their kids, right?
Mm.
We know we got Mother's Day coming up, but I'm the same way. I feel like, wow, did I honor my mom enough? Because, you know, whether I was sick or tired, or she was always there for us, right? And so that's the perspective that you have, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Ooh.
what's going to make you stronger. Yeah, I really appreciate you being real.
I'm okay. Okay. So do you think that we need these mental health programs in schools on the west side or in
What?
Chicago in general?
We need it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You know, one of the things that I've learned when I came to Chicago, especially when I started traveling around, I saw so much poverty and so much lack of opportunity, including like there were some jobs there, but they weren't like paying enough
Right.
to make a living, right?
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is people get stressed out,
Yeah.
right? And the stress gets passed on to their kids,
Mhm.
and their kids pass it on to their friends.
Yep.
And so we have to work. We have to collaborate with each other. We have to have an imagination too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always thinking, every time I drive west, I'm like, some of these vacant lots, they could be these wonderful parks, right?
Mhm.
Green space with trees and places for people to play, right? There's plenty of things that we could do to create jobs to help people out, right?
Exactly.
You know, I keep thinking like, you know, you've heard that expression, the school to jail pipeline, right?
Yes,
It's
I heard
almost
that.
as if that's okay. And that's not okay
Yeah,
with
it's
me in a
not.
society, right?
It's like that's a normal thing. Like,
No.
I actually hear people say that often, like school to prison pipeline, like it's nothing.
Right.
Like it's like we taking them from schools and showing them how to get to jail.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
not.
So
not
what's
okay.
lacking, and it's our fault,
Yeah.
right? It's our fault as adults. We don't have the imagination. We're not fighting for a society that actually cherishes kids. I shared with you this the last time I said, a lot of people, they don't realize that the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child,
Mhm.
is not the whole proverb.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You remember that now? Do you remember
I'm trying
it?
to remember it takes a village.
To
but
raise a child.
When the child
when the
what happened?
village does not embrace its youth,
They burn it down or
the
something
youth
like
will burn
that.
it down
Yeah,
to
yeah,
feel
yeah,
its
yeah.
warmth. Right?
Yeah.
You see, the proverb is saying the problem with kids and violence or drugs or truancy and stuff is really not about the kids. There's
Exactly.
something wrong with the village. The kids really are just like a thermometer
Mhm.
that are giving us a temperature of the village, right?
Mhm.
If we flip it around, right, of the word we use is pathologize. If we stop pathologizing kids instead of saying, oh,
What
there's
does that
something
word
wrong
mean?
with the kids, right? Like a pathology is something that's wrong, right?
Okay.
Then what's really wrong is the village, right? And
Right.
and we have to get to a point where the key is really going to the young people and making space where they can tell us, this is what's going on with me.
Right.
And they actually can lead the way. But
Right.
we just have to make spaces for them. The elders know that already. A lot of indigenous people know that they have to stay close to their young people because the young people are going to tell them what's wrong.
Yes,
Isn't
I
that
love.
interesting?
Yes, I love reading like indigenous stories. I read this indigenous story. It's called the Yellow Woman.
Let me
It's
write
like-
that down. Give me that pen back.
It's called the yellow. It's like Yellow Woman, and it was basically about like how they raise their children, like just like how they say like the rain is like how how like it rains, and people be like, oh, like the rain, why is it raining? But they look at it like the rain is simply itself. Like the rain is just the rain. The rain isn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
But it's just like our perspective and like how we're looking at it. Like we're looking at it as a bad thing. When it rains, it waters the grass, waters plants, give water to the trees. We're not looking at it like that. We are looking at it to our own benefit.
Right.
But it's like we don't like something, we can sit at home watch it from the inside. But everybody doesn't have that luxury and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we can only, it's like it depends on, we have to like try to look at it in a different way, because if we don't, then we'll always see the negative side of everything and try to blame that thing when that thing is only itself. Like fire is just itself, but once it's carried on to something, then it's like turned into a bad thing. It's like damage, but it's like it's not the fire, because the fire is just itself. But it's like, how did they, like, I don't know. Like, it's like, you have to read it.
I
like,
can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
Because if you think what you're saying is really wise, is that if we can live in rhythm with what the earth always provides us.
What is it called? Ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. That's what they say. Like the world is like it ebb and flows. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. But the world is still the world,
And that's the way we are as humans too.
Exactly.
We ebb and flow, right? Sometimes I'm not feeling on. You know? I mean, you see me a lot of the time. I'm a pretty happy guy, right?
Yeah.
But there are times that I'm down, right? Especially when I see injustice. But then I flip it on its head, and I'm like, what am I going to do about it?
Exactly.
I'm not going to just sit there
and let it happen.
Gripe about it. I'm going to do something about it. Yeah. Thanks.
So are there any events coming up in the community that you know of?
Yeah, so we're going to do a Safe Festival in May.
Okay.
We're working with the Children's Earth Foundation. So on the west side, West Care partners with Fathers Who Care. And of course, we do a lot of festivals with your grandfather. And then on the west side, we're going to do something that really honors the environment. So just what you're talking about. So we've partnered with a couple of schools on the south side, and we'll do that. So that's one event that we're going to have. I'm excited to hear what we're going to do this summer with Fathers Who Care. We've done some...
we do some good stuff in the summertime. It'd be fun.
Yeah. We've been on the lake. Did you know that was the first time I'd ever been on the lake with you guys? Been on this planet for so long, and I'd never been into one of those. What are those big boats called?
Sailboats, the yachts and stuff.
Yeah. We went to the yacht club, and it was so exciting.
But it's a lot of people who haven't, like, all they see is like this. It's a lot of people who only see this area, and they don't really get to explore like the deeper parts of like the city in general. They only see the bad stuff. But it's like, go to the lakefront, go down there and like just get on it. And it's like we have those opportunities. So actually I want to talk about this MySpace drop-in that we have at Fathers Who Care, located 4540 West Washington. We do resume building, help you guys with homework, games, life skills, homework assistant, field trips, all that type of stuff. So if you want any information on that and our youth council, please contact us at 773-287-5821. And now we have to wrap up. So if someone is watching and is in need of immediate intervention and or your support, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me at Carlos Rodriguez. You can go to you can email me actually, carlos.rodriguez, that's RODRIGUEZ @westcare.com, or you can call me. I actually put out my work number, 312-504-7263. So again, 312-504-7263. I am there for you. I'm there for adults. If I can't solve the problem, I'm going to try to connect you. So that's what I pride myself on.
Using your network, yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so if you are just tuning in, our guest tonight on the show is Carlos, and we were discussing creating opportunities over violence. Did I use your real name? I just feel like it'd be cool. Yeah. Try to say it first.
I love the way you say my name.
So we would love to thank our viewers for watching. For additional information about our youth council again, please contact us at 773-287-5821 and ask for Miss Princess. Thank you, and tune in next week, same time, same station.